Welcome to Let It Run. We back on Thursday. We remember Fred's got a look at that sign back there. Look at that banner he's got for there. Thanks to your guy, you can thank him.
Yeah, Mike Batista works at Sirius Radio. Shout out to him. Thank you for helping me get that together. Great guy.
So you can see. So we were on last Thursday. This show is going to be a little different. First things first. At the bottom of the screen, you can see here. We are going to be now live on multiple sports talk group sites. The sports talk group of companies here. Sports Talk New York Fan and Sports Talk Florida. You can read Fred's story each time we post a story here. So the goal is with Sports Talk, they're going to be in a lot of the places where the NFL is, which is a lot of the places where there's horse tracks.
Right.
So eventually maybe we spread this out and maybe kind of look at some different tracks.
Most definitely, Sean, especially with Sports Talk New York, one of my favorite tracks up there. You have Belmont, which is undergoing renovations right now. But Aqueduct, great track. I certainly am going to begin to dive into that and begin to put some stories and some analysis together for that. And then, of course, the Grandaddy Mall, which runs from the middle of July to Labor Day, is Saratoga. We all can't wait for that. But right now, those are the options that we're going to do, Sean. I think it's going to be a great deal. I love what you're doing with getting us involved with these other venues so that people can see some of the good things that we're able to do. And I'm very excited about it and looking forward to it, Sean.
Yeah, I think, when we talk about these other sites, the one thing that's going to be really cool about it that, look, I think we're on in different places here. Obviously you look, we're on YouTube. We already got a decent amount of viewers here. We're on X app. Where we get a decent, we get a pretty good amount of viewers. We're on Twitch, multiple YouTube channels,
Good.
Facebook. So on these sites now, every time we're going to go live, probably it's going to happen in the next 15 to 30 days. You're going to be able to go right to Sports Talk Florida. If you're in Florida, or go right to Sports Talk New York, right to Sports Talk Los Angeles, and see the live video right in the website. So multiple ways to watch the show, which is obviously going to be really cool. So there's a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
Big things popping as some of the guys say there. My guy, big things popping. That rapper from LA, T.I., I believe. T.I. says that.
But I gotta depend on you for that stuff. Talk about Sinatra. Talk about the Doobie Brothers, talk about Earth, Wind, and Fire. I got that covered, Sean. But T.I. or Little Pain or Big Pain, whatever, that I'll leave that to you, buddy.
So we got new. We have the new episode today is. I'm going to let you describe it. One Horse Wonder. What exactly? I know on Saturdays we go more into depth about these races. What is the idea behind this One Horse Wonder?
Sure. When I go through each race, and I dissect the races in the beginning of the week, like on Monday or Tuesday. I print out the past performances currently just for Gulfstream Park. Sometimes I'll delve into another races to look at it, including this week the Virginia Derby. But One Horse Wonder is a horse that I'm wondering about in terms of either the price that I thought he was going to get and what he actually ended up going off when the odds came out, or some kind of intriguing element that has to do with the jockey who's on him. Something in the race that caught my eye that I want to look at. And each week on Thursday, we're going to do this One Horse Wonder. Take a look at one horse, and each week we'll keep track of. We're going to put a $2 mythical bet on each one of those horses, which today will end up being 6 horses, 5 at Gulfstream Park, races 8 through 12. And then one of the horses in the Virginia Derby, which the Virginia Derby is extremely interesting. I can't wait, Sean, to dive into a little talk tonight, touch a little bit of the tip of the iceberg, And then on Saturday, going a little bit deeper into what is an extremely interesting race on so many ways, in so many ways. But that's how we're going to do it tonight. And every week, we're going to keep track of how we do, how Let 'em Run does when we do a little $2 mythical wager on One Horse Wonder and see what happens. And we'll go from there, Sean. I think it's going to be cool. I know it's cool when you start doing this, Sean. I saw you do that. I know that means everything's going good.
We're looking at race 8 here, 2:20 Eastern time. There's a horse with a little vibe in this race. There's a horse with a little vibe. However, I'm looking at the story, which will be up later. I'm wondering where you're going to go here, because you got one horse vibe, the vibe here, who's going to go off probably even money. One horse is going to go off in the middle, and then another horse that looks like a little bit of a bomb, but has some pretty good value. So I'm wondering where you're going to go with this year.
Well, Wonder No More. You just stepped right into that perfectly, Sean. I'm wondering where this is going. Well, Wonder No More. I have fell on the number 4 horse. Here Comes Francis.
Okay.
He's currently morning line 8-1. I'll talk briefly. I'm only talking about one horse, but I do want to make a quick comment about Vibe, as you mentioned. But this 4 horse, Luis Saez is taking a first-time starter who's shown a tremendous amount of workouts. It looks like if he comes out of the gate as a runner, I think he could take this field right around to the finish line. Again, Victor Barbosa is a tremendous trainer for Gulfstream Park. He's also 29% on dirt. He's out of improbable. If he gets a clean break, I think he's going to go. And I love the value at 8-1. I'm going to divest for a second because you brought up Vibe. That horse was purchased for not one, not two, $3 million. $3 million. Okay. And, he's, I guess, deservedly, perhaps the 7-5 favorite. But what's really interesting, he's the 3rd horse in this race that's out of Into Mischief. The 3 horses out of Into Mischief, he costs $250. The 6 horses out of Into Mischief, and both of them have Harlan's Holiday as well. He costs $250. Vibe costs $3 million. What's really interesting, and then we'll go on. That horse is being trained by a horse trainer named Anthony Sciametta. You heard of him, Sean? No. He's got no record in terms of being here at Gulfstream Park. This is going to be the first horse that he's training here. I know he has another horse later in the race. He worked with Todd Pletcher for 21 years. I never heard him before. I mean, you're giving a $3 million horse to, again, no offense. I don't know a lot about him, except he was with Todd Pletcher for 21 years. He's trained in his career 2,043 starts. But I'm really interested in looking and see what happens there. But I am following on Here Comes Francis. That's my one horse wonder, 8-1. I think if Luis Saez gets out of the gate, I don't care how much the $3 million horse costs. I think he's got a really good shot to go around this field, Sean.
All right. The 9th race at Gulfstream, 450 Eastern Dirt, 7 furlongs. It's an $8,000 claiming race. And I don't know if anybody's been claimed yet. Maybe after today, after hitting some parlays on the Europa and Europa Conference League, I might be able to buy one of these horses here.
Well, 8,000 claiming at Gulfstream Park is the lowest level of claiming races. Every horse in this race is up for claim. So that obviously is a sign of each horse being looked to claim.
Yeah.
In our,
that's how we're trying to get. Some interesting odds here because, I'm looking here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 horses with odds of about 8-1 or better. And, 3-1, 4-1, 6-1, 5-2, 5-1. And then, a couple horses with 30-1, 20-1. So, obviously got to imagine, when by the time this comes out on Saturday, these odds are going to be a little bit different. But I mean, looks like a pretty wide open field. Obviously, $8,000 claiming race is probably pretty wide open.
Well, it's wide open for a lot of reasons. That being one of them. The other, the race we talk about all the time. 7 furlongs, very difficult. not a sprint, it's not a route, blah, blah, blah. We talked about that extensively. None of these horses, except for one horse, has won at 7 furlongs before. That's the 2 horse. That's probably why he's the favorite at 3-1. Being written about, but that's not my one horse wonder.
Is yours the Aretha Franklin horse?
Where is that horse?
The Queen of Soul.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of bets made on that horse because of Aretha Franklin. You're absolutely right. And the 4-1, pretty good horse, by the way. Actually, not a terrible horse to take a look at, but I fell more on the 7 horse, Rocky Seas, morning line 5-2. Again, a pretty tight, close to favoritism. Being trained again by a great trainer down there, Kent Sweezy, down at Gulfstream Park, wins at 26%. Change the jockey to Vasquez. Not a terrible thing, because when Sweezy does that horse hits at 40, or the trainer jockey hit at 43%. Only 7 times, but he's given the horse to Vasquez, one of his best riders. The horse has come in second 4 times in a row. Some people look at that as a negative, say he likes second place, but he's run well in each time. And, he's improved. I think in a race like this, a horse that shows he has some ability to run a good race. He's run 14 times, came in first once, came in second time, six times, obviously like second place, and came in third place twice. So I'm falling on that horse. He's also number 1 prime power, which again, I fall a lot on. If you follow Brisnet, they cover a lot of different reasons why a horse might be labeled number 1 prime power. And that's why I'm falling on him. I hope this time he gets the breakthrough and finally gets to put the number 1 next to his name rather than 222, Sean.
So for race 10 here, turf 1 mile. Hold on 1 second. I got something for you.
Sure. All right. You got to help me out. Moving on up to
the east side. That's Jefferson.
There's another reference that people are
going
to bet.
Moving on up. We got moving on up at 9-2 here on race 10. I wasn't sure if you were going to go with him or somebody else, but I wanted to play that Jefferson song because big George.
I appreciate that. One of my favorite all-time shows, the Jeffersons, all the spin-offs. Obviously Archie Bunker, had his own show. They worked together a lot. But no, sorry, Sean, that is not the horse I looked at. The horse I'm looking at is number 7, Pharaoh's Wine. He's I think the lone speed in the race, or the lone true speed in the race. He's being ridden by Joel Rosario. He's shortening up from 1.16 miles to a mile. He's raced in 3 grade 2 races in a row. Not sure why they kept putting him in there. They must have thought he had a good chance. I mean, obviously, Dale Romans knows what he's doing. This horse has been working out lights out for this optional claiming 62. Again, unlike that other race, Sean, that we talked about, the claiming $8,000 race, I think there's only 2 horses in this race, or perhaps even just one. Just one horse who's up for claim. The 2 horse, the Aggressor, the only horse who's up for claim in this optional claiming race. So I'm falling on the 7, Pharaoh's Wine. Again, race at Churchill Downs, race at Kentucky Downs, which is a tough track. At this distance of a mile, he's raced 5 times. He's come in second twice, come in first twice. Rosario is jumping on board. Look at his workouts that Dale has him going. January 4th, January 11th, the 19th, the 48th, all 47-second near bullet workouts. Ran again on February 22nd, put up a 48-second. I mean, 6-1, Sean, that's my kind of speed horse in a race like this, Sean.
Race 11, 5:50 Eastern. Look, I'm a genius. I don't have to be a genius. I still look out on the board here. I can't. I only imagine you're going with this lookout horse here if I had to take a pick. So, big jockey here on the horse. I didn't need to be a genius to figure this out. Who's your?
So who do you think I'm falling on?
Pleasant Embrace here to go. Look, anytime you can look at a horse who's looking to win 4 in a row here in an optional claim $25,000 race, with lifetime stats, in the money 9 out of 10 races, looking to win 4 in a row, and
Yep.
it's only 3. The horse is 3-1 right now. I mean, 3-1 is nothing to sneeze at. $20 to win, you're winning $80 back.
Right. And he is the favorite in the race, and deservedly so. Obviously, winning, looking to win his 4th in a row. There is another horse that's looking to win 4 in a row. That's the 7 horse. I stepped away from him a little bit. He's 2 for 2 at the distance, being trained by the great trainer down in Florida at Gulfstream Park, Saffie Joseph, who has 2 horses in this race. But I just fell in love with the 2 horse. Joel Rosario's on him. He knows the horse well. Joel and Kelly Breen, who's a kind of a trainer that does a lot of training up in Monmouth, has this horse, I think, ready to fire a big one. He has a great post number 2, a good spot to get a good run on all the horses. There's no speed to his inside, so he's probably going to go right around that horse when the gates open. And as a small caveat, if this should happen, the rail at 6 furlongs is winning at 32%. Now, he's not on the rail. He's 1 inside the rail. But if the 1 horse happens to scratch, which could happen, and he ends up being on the rail, I think that just puts him on I call it a double lookout bet. Look out and then look out again. And I hope he stays anywhere near 3-1, Sean, because if he does, I'll be all over that horse. I mean, I'm all over him already, but
race 12, 6:20 Eastern time. I see here. I think this is going to be interesting to see where you go here with the 1 horse winner, because your notes say this is the most wide open race on the card here, and obviously some really good value horses in this field. I mean, there's some horses, 12-1, 10-1 that look pretty good. Interested to see where you go here.
Well, again, this is the lowest level of maiden claiming at Gulfstream Park. Again, in this race, just like the maiden claiming 8,000 race, they're all up for claim. So any of these horses can be claimed out of this race. I did fall on a horse that is, not a big price. He's the 8 horse Fountain Run. Also being trained by this interesting trainer we just spoke of. Todd Pletcher had this horse for 3 races, trained him for all 3 races. He finally got him on turf the last time out. He put up a very good buyer number for this level at 61 buyer speed figure, was really at the front of the pack the whole time and just lost by a neck, even though he got bumped at the start. So he's getting a little more distance here. I think him running at a mile is going to be a big help for him. But again, interesting in that Anthony Sciamata, I hope Mr. Sciamata, I'm pronouncing your name right, who has been with Todd Pletcher for 21 years, but I was not familiar with this gentleman as a trainer, but he has taken over the trainer. But again, a little tell, he's not putting a different jockey on him. Saez rode him on the turf before and lost by a neck at 12-1 in the same level of this race, being, morning line now 7-2. So that's who I'm falling on right now is Fountain Run, and I'm going to stick with him. The other thing they talk about in these races, Sean, is the biggest drop in claiming from a maiden special weight to a maiden claiming. We talked about this. There's really only 1 horse who's doing that. That's the 9 horse Out of Money. You might be out of money if you bet too many times on this horse. I mean, he was in a maiden special weight for $100K last time. Really didn't pick up his feet, didn't run at all. Being dropped again into the lowest level of claiming. They say it's the biggest drop in racing. If you're looking for a horse to put some money on and take a shot because of that angle, that's the only horse, Sean, that's dropping out of maiden special. But I'm falling on the number 8 Fountain Run, Sean, at 7-2. Let him run.
I think we'll talk more about that Saturday, but that Out of Money might be a little bit of a $10 show bet or something like that to maybe.
Yeah, we'll talk about that Saturday. Agree.
Yep. All right, so now we go to the Virginia Derby, Kentucky Derby prep odds and analysis for the Virginia Derby, and I see John Hancock was scratched.
That's a huge scratch for a lot of reasons. And that also the scratch of the two, John Hancock, who was probably the second choice, not probably was this, the second choice morning line at 3-1, who was trained by Brad Cox. He scratched that horse. That horse probably had the best, not probably, did have the best early pace speed figure of 130. He took him out of there. The 6 horse is going to be the favorite, Getaway Car, 9-5, tremendous horse, ridden by Irad Ortiz, trained by Bob Baffert, Mr. Kentucky Derby. So you can't look at that horse as a horse to ignore, but did not fall on him as my one wonder horse.
I was going to say your notes say that horse is going to be 3-5 at post time too. So like,
absolutely.
Probably find a little more value in this race, I would think, right?
Yeah. So the horse I'm going to fall on here, Sean, is the number 7, Rapture. Before I get to why I like him, I do want to mention something about the Virginia Derby. Maybe our viewers, maybe people know about this. The Virginia Derby was typically run at Colonial Downs in the fall on turf. That was when it was run. They moved it now to have another. It's the first time the Virginia Derby is a point race, a Derby prep race in the road to the Kentucky Derby. I think that's very interesting, number one. Number two, it's a 1.125 miles, okay? But if you look at the configuration of the track, it's a 1-turn 1.125 miles. You don't see that at a 1.125 miles in any track. It's going to be 7 furlongs, almost 6.5 furlongs before they make the first turn. That's unheard of. That's different. And to me, that throws this whole race, in my opinion, into chaos. It's going to be extremely interesting. It's going to be a good race to run, to watch.
Here would be my this. So I'm going to read. So I'm going to give you my opinion on this race, and you see.
Let's hear it, Sean. I love it. Let's hear it.
So obviously, Getaway Car is going to be the heavy favorite, but Rapture, as the only Brad Cox runner in the field, figures to get a stalking trip here. If Getaway Car fades down the stretch, Rapture is likely to take over the lead, and that makes him the top choice in this race.
Sean, you have learned well, my son. They don't call you the genius for nothing. I can see that now.
Thank you.
Well, it's interesting, right? There is some other speed that's probably going to go with Getaway Car. I mean, nobody has blazing speed, but the 3 American Promise, Nick Juarez is a jockey from up north. He's got some speed. He's probably going to go with him. The 10, 30-1 shot. All he can do is try and go out. And Sheldon Russell, who's a Laurel Park jockey, a Northeast jockey, is going to take him out. So, that's why I like Rapture. Brad Cox, for whatever reason, he scratched John Hancock because John Hancock is going to go into next weekend at Fairgrounds in the Grade 2 Louisiana Derby. So obviously there's a good reason why he did that. He think he'll be a better horse there, but certainly take him out of this race knowing Getaway Car was in the race perhaps made a difference in Brad Cox's decision. I can't think in Brad Cox's head, but this horse, as you rightfully pointed out, is kind of a stalker style. I mean, he won his last race by 6 lengths in a big field. There was 11 horses in that field. He broke out of the 10 post. Not an easy place to run and win a race. His second time out, his buyer speed figure went up. I think he's got room to grow. I think he's going to improve again. Pratt, your Eclipse award-winning jockey who won more stakes races last year, broke the record of Jerry Bailey as far as number of stakes races that he won. He broke it last year in 2024. So I look for him to put this horse in a good spot. He knows the horse well. Brad Cox and Pratt hit a 36% when they get together, and they get together a lot, Sean. So that's my answer for that.
The interesting, I know we'll talk obviously more about this on Saturday, but if you're looking for another horse that could be a stalker down the stretch, Omaha, by obviously the Peyton Manning reference.
I love the name of that horse. That's my favorite horse as far as name.
Well, he's one that could obviously finished second and third, second in Jerome, third in the Withers, and it is going to be a late running horse here. So once again, if Getaway Car starts to fade down the stretch, you could see some of these other horses coming, and Omaha could be one, and could be double figures on the thing. But we'll talk more about that on
Talk more
Saturday.
about that, but that's a good point, Sean. That's a good point. We'll cover that a little bit more in depth on Saturday, and of course on Saturday we always make a big. It always makes a big difference when we see the scratches, and that's going to be. It's going to be sunny, warm in Colonial Downs. That's not a problem. It's going to be sunny and dry and warm in Gulfstream Park, so weather's not a problem down there, Sean.
And just
all good.
You got to make sure you're tuned in, because Fred, I believe you were 4 for 5 last week on your picks, correct?
Yeah, we had a good week last week. We picked a lot of winners. My best horse of the day was our
kid.
Don't have it. Huh? No.
Our kid. That's
our disaster. Our disaster got beat at the wire. His morning, or he went off at like 6-1. He got beat by probably the best horse in the race, Nick Style, who we've had on a lookout bet for a while. I went away from him hoping that our disaster could get the lead. He did get the lead, but he got run down late by Junior Alvarado and Bill Ma on Nick Style. A really, really good horse. Nick Style won his first stakes race that day, and so congratulations to them. I hope to be hot again this week, Sean, and then that would be great. So let's look for a good week this week again, Sean.
Yeah, definitely. And make sure you tune in on Saturday. We will be, once again, the race 8, the late pick 5 doesn't start till 4:20. So you got a little bit of time to tune in. And then I forget what time. I forget what time the
Derby, Virginia Derby
is. Yeah. I think it's
Virginia Derby
day
is 5:10. 5:10. So it's kind of early.
Yeah, 5:10. I know they do that because they want to bounce around TVG and NBC, whoever has I forget who has the coverage now, maybe Fox. I don't want to say anything wrong here, but they want to put the races here so they can, especially in these Derby races, so they can kind of have that hour and a half of bounce, big race, bounce around in that 5 o'clock.
I'm sure they look at that. Yeah, I'm sure they look at that. Absolutely, Sean.
So thanks for watching. Obviously, trying something new here on Thursday nights. And remember, subscribe, hit the bell, like us. Feel free to leave comments. Obviously, we're always going to answer. And just remember, soon we'll be all over the place. And tune in. Hopefully, we'll be. You can see us soon in the coming weeks, right at the top of these web pages, on top of X and YouTube and Twitch. And wherever else you're watching us right now, it looks like we got 100 people in here watching. So I'll always appreciate it. And we will see you.
Sean, absolutely.
Yep. And we'll see you on.
All right. Saturday, 12:30, Sean. Everybody else, 12:30. Make sure you check it out. It's going to be some good information.
Remember, if you're watching in Europe, it's only 4 hours now because we have daylight time, and you bums over in Europe, man, you're behind us, man.
Don't start World War III here, Sean.
Yeah, I don't think we need.
Yes,
it starts.
Let that go.
We'll
let that go.
All right.
Sean.
See you
All right,
next
brother.
time.
See you Saturday, buddy.